Well, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are and whenever you're watching this video. I am Robert Burrows, the Chief Learning and Development Officer here at AAMI, the Association for the Advancement of Medical Instrumentation. And I'm joined this morning by Yadin Daviv, Interim President of the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance, affectionately known as GCEA. And Yadin, you are also the Chief Editor of their Global Clinical Engineering Journal, and in your spare time, a principal consultant or the principal of biomedical engineering consultants down in my old hometown, Houston, Texas. So Yadin, thanks for joining me. We are also joined by Stefano Bergamasco. Look at that. See, I got the little trill in there. I did okay. Owner and director at MedTech Products. And I'm going to have a little more problem with this probably, but joining him from beautiful Udine, Italy. Did I get even close on the city name, Stefano?
Great. You did great. Thanks.
All right. I get my credentials then. Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks to both of you for joining. So our goal today is to share with folks some news about an upcoming event, one that you at GCEA and we at AAMI have participated in together before. It's your event, but we've been delighted to be a part of it. And that is the International Clinical Engineering and Healthcare Technology Management Conference, ICEHTMC. And this is something that has a history that's developed now of success. We did this together virtually during COVID, or we supported you in executing this event during COVID. But you've done this around the world and you're back again. So Yadin, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about the history of the event and then what's happening this year?
Great. Thank you, Robert, for having us. This is exciting time for the clinical engineering field all over the world. And what we are here for is to tell you about the great and unique Congress that's going to take place on November 10th through the 13th in India, in a place called Visakh, which is on the Bay of Bengals in the right-hand side of the continent of the country of India. Mumbai is on the left, New Delhi is on the north, and Bangalore is on the south. So you all going to be very excited to know about the place. As far as the history, Robert, as my travel around the world in the last decade showed me, is that we have tremendous clinical engineering field developed in various corners of the world, but not well connected. They are nuggets here, nuggets there, but nobody is seeing what the other parties are doing, and everybody seems to be like trying to reinvent the wheel. And the idea of making the network closer and creating more collaborative platform to share knowledge and experiences came about through this idea of the International Clinical Engineering and Health Technology Management Congress. We started in 2015 in China and decided that every 2 years will be sufficient time to bring expert, new knowledge, and networking opportunity between the global community. And to do that effectively, we should move around the continent. So we decided to hold the next Congress after China in 2017 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And then we got an offer to move to Europe, and we went to Rome, Italy, and have an exciting Congress, 2019. And unfortunately, immediately after that, COVID started, and more need for international collaboration in healthcare was obvious, and it also was clear not enough connectivity between us. We tried to make another Congress 2 years later, 2021, in Washington, D.C., actually at the AAMI studios that were just opening up that year. And we held a virtual meeting for the first time for the clinical engineering field experience. It was well accepted. And now we're moving to Southeast Asia, and 2023 is the meeting in India.
It's gonna be a beautiful location, and I think, as I understand, I was just looking at some of the notes here. It just continues to grow. So Stefano, say a bit about the folks that are coming to participate in the event. I know you guys have had a really large slate of submissions from around the world this year in terms of the educational content of the program. But say a bit about what's going to be there.
Absolutely. It's going to be very exciting, mainly because we can gather together people from all the corners of the world. All the WHO regions of the world, the 6 regions, will be represented. We received more than 300 abstracts for the scientific program coming from more than 700 submitters. So the expected audience of this event that is growing year after year exceeds 1,000 people coming from, as I said, all over the world. And this is really a unique opportunity to be all together in one single location and discuss topics that are of interest for clinical engineers. Really a broad field of application. So with submissions and panels about technical issues, organizational issues, policy, and a lot of topics that cover interest for all the professionals in the field. So really a huge coverage and a unique opportunity.
And you mentioned, covering all the regions of the world in terms of the WHO. I want to come back to that because this is actually going to end up being 2 events in one. And we can talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But in the meantime, I want to talk just a little bit about who should attend. So we talked about who you expect to attend in terms of volume, but what's the profile of those folks? So for Yadin, for clinical engineers and health technology managers, who should attend and why should they attend?
Robert, healthcare is a local issue, but the technology that support the delivery of healthcare services is international. So going to international congress make a lot of sense because for the clinical engineers, the technologists, the technicians, and the program managers, they're going to be listening to session about the technology life cycle, from innovation to prototyping to manufacturing, regulation, and use at the point of care. There is opportunity to meet experts from around the world that have unique view on specific part of the practice, and they're going to learn a lot from that. It's opportunity to network with group that until now they might not have a chance because they did not come to a US-based meeting, and now the door is open wider. In addition, the exhibit area is going to have an international focus, an opportunity to see vendors, services, and product that might be coming with a different angle, different purposes perhaps, and different innovation. So you can learn a lot from the exhibit area as well. And finally, the international program would have event like international awards, international dinner, and a culinary experience that's going to be great for everyone. So I think everybody will gain from visiting.
So you mentioned the exhibitors that are going to be participating. I know you've been getting strong industry support both from the region and globally. And we would encourage anybody in this community that has a global footprint to their medtech operations to look at joining. And you're doing this event in a pretty unique place, AMTZ. Say a little bit about that, Stefano, if you will, about the location and kind of some of the resources that are going to be available there.
Yeah, like as Yadin was mentioning, there is this mix of scientific and cultural experience. I think that this is enriching the experience for everyone to see different places and experiences something that in the day-by-day professional and personal life you sometimes can't really experience. So we have organized on-site tours, both of cultural regions in the area, but also of the medical and scientific facilities. AMTZ that is the location hosting the event is really unique because it's a huge medtech area with a research center, industries, and more than 100 clinical engineers on site making research and development of technology. So this is a really great opportunity to participate to a scientific event, networking experience, as we mentioned, but also to have this event hosted in a location where you can see people hands-on in technology innovation. And we are organizing guided tours of these facilities that I think are can set up also a model for some of the participants to bring back to their areas and maybe stimulate their politicians or their decision makers to start up facilities like that. So this is an added value that we feel makes it really worthwhile to travel across the globe and reach the location.
Well, it really is interesting. I mean, often these events take place in a conference center, which is wonderful and lovely and all of those things, but to have it taking place in a very robust and very large and well-equipped conference center that happens to be in the center of a hotbed of medtech development is kind of a unique and interesting opportunity. So that is going to be very cool.
And Robert, I would like to add to that this event is such a great collaboration between, as Stefano said, AMTZ, the IFMBE Clinical Engineering Division, the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance, and AAMI, that has its own interest in developing the international point of view. So this combination will offer a unique environment to learn, network, and engage in many unique events that otherwise you're going to miss. I will encourage everybody also to join and visit the Congress website at global GCEA.org and go to the conference website.
So let me dive in a little bit too. I want to talk about, because you were talking about the alliances and AAMI and GCEA have partnered, and we participate together, supporting you not only in this event, but we're looking at bringing some of the tools and resources that AAMI has to a global audience through GCEA, and we love that partnership. But there's another sort of major alignment here I want to call out. So you've got the ICEHTMC event happening, but there's another event happening immediately after. Am I getting that right? It's immediately after this event,
yes,
or immediately before? Immediately after the
correct.
World Health Innovation Forum. Say a little bit about that.
This is a World Health Organization driven event, and they're going to be bringing mostly policy makers and Ministry of Health teams from around the world to discuss how can they encourage, support, and promote the development of innovation in medical technology tools. The event is going to be taking place immediately following our Congress from November 14 through the 16 in the same venue. And the new audience that will join will be experiencing the same visit to the exhibits and the surrounding as the clinical engineers, technology and technician will do in the early days of the Congress. And this is an opportunity for us in the clinical engineering field to better understand the politics and the policies and the finance associated with national program, as Ministry of Health are coming to learn more about health technology and its innovation. So this is a unique opportunity. It's a twofer, meaning that you registered for the 5th Global Clinical Engineering Congress, and you will get both events paid for at the same rate. There is no additional cost if you registered for the Clinical Engineering Health Technology Management Congress.
Fantastic. And so I just want to kind of hit that point again of what you were saying about the commingling of the audiences of the two events. So certainly beneficial to the clinical engineers and health technology managers who will be there and can interact with some of these folks from the Ministry of Health, because we do have to finance health. We do have to have the right policies in place to support the adoption and use and innovation around healthcare technology. So I think the commingling of those two audiences is very important, but from a exhibitor or sponsor point of view, really, really important, because these are decision makers that are coming together to be a part of this additional event from around the world. They will be visiting the expo floor, the exhibit floor, and anyone who's there exhibiting is going to have the opportunity to interact with those decision makers and make them aware of their products and services. So that's a real added benefit for those that do that. So well, it sounds like it's going to be a great event. It's going to be in a beautiful location. And you didn't have in the notes here, I didn't add to the notes here, but there's some beaches nearby too, right? So I think there's some opportunities after everyone's done working for a week to go have some fun, right?
And put your colorful clothes and come to the beach, have a dinner and celebrate with friends, new and old ones.
Fantastic. Well, it's going to be a really great event. Yadin, Stefano, anything to add before we wrap up?
Well, maybe just a closing remark that even though the core of the Congress is going to be the scientific sessions, but there are side events that we are organizing. For example, the Global CE Summit, that is a very important event that we are organizing every event in these years, like Yadin reminded, where global leaders in clinical engineering from all the participating countries set the agenda of the hot topics in clinical engineering for the next 2 years to be working and developing. And this is another unique opportunity to be in person and discuss these important topics. So the day before the Congress, the Global CE Summit will take place and other side events all around this scientific core of the Congress. So it's really added value on top of the sessions. I think this is really good about having finally the opportunity to get together again and do this kind of international events.
And you know, Robert, the program itself, the scientific program, is based on input we received over the past 2 years from members of the community. One of the major events that will take place in November in India will be a global clinical engineering summit and celebration of the Global Clinical Engineering Week. On the summit, we will invite everybody to tell us what are the significant challenges they're facing today, so we can collect that information and start preparing for the 2025 Congress with those type of topics part of the agenda. We'll have international awards for clinical engineers, for clinical engineering programs, for BMET technicians, and announcing of a couple new awards. One of them is collaboration with AAMI. And finally, we'll look at perhaps some visioning towards the future of the profession and one final event there. So it's all going to be very exciting, and I'm sure that everybody would like to be there.
Absolutely. And I think I'll close with the point that you were highlighting. There's so much activity that goes on between these events, obviously. And as you both called out, you know, part of what happens in the summit is to set the agenda, if you will, subject to changes in the world that happen and disruptions and things of that sort. But for that ongoing work that happens between Congresses, and to that end, I'd encourage people come get involved with AAMI, which is, of course, the primary source of consensus standards for medical devices, and a great place to be involved in that work and all of the things that we do. But also go to the GCEA website and check out how to get involved in addition to coming to this Congress, because there are frequent calls and collaborations and things going on that people can get involved with. So, gentlemen, thanks to both of you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing the information with folks, and we look forward to being part of a very successful event together. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Robert. Thanks a lot.
Be well.